Hello and welcome. This is News on Zodiak with me, Veronica Mani. Our top stories. IMF notes to Malawi's new extended credit facility program worth over 7 billion kwacha. Police say they have officially recorded 8 cases of attacks, murder and abduction of people with albinism since January. In sports, squash gaining momentum as corporate support increases. And a German airline plane with 142 passengers crashes in the French Alps. These are some of our top stories tonight. Stay with us. The Executive Board of the International Monetary Fund has approved disbursement of $18.1 million, approximately 7 billion kwacha, for Malawi's new Extended Credit Facility program. The board also approved extension of the current Extended Credit Facility to May 2016. Tano Mawawa with more.
The decision of the IMF Executive Board follows completion of the 5th and 6th review of Malawi's economic performance under the program supported by the Extended Credit Facility arrangement. You will recall that an IMF mission was in the country some weeks ago conducting reviews of the Malawi economy. In completing the review, the board approved $18.1 million under a new extended credit facility. The board also noted a number of positives on the part of Malawi government, including the commitment to rebuild trust in public institutions. A statement which we have in possession says that the authorities at the IMF have noted that Malawi authorities are addressing weaknesses in public financial management, which it says are necessary to restore donor confidence. The IMF has also observed that the Reserve Bank of Malawi is committed to tightening monetary policy, which it also says is necessary. It has, however, observed that the recent plunder of public resources, fondly known as cashgate, has led to massive damage of the country's economy, and hence called on authorities in Malawi to relentlessly deal with the weaknesses in the public finance management systems. The board also expressed reservations with non-concessional external borrowing, which it said went a bit higher sometime in 2013. The board also approved Malawi's request to extend the current extended credit facility, which is worth about $144 million and was approved back in July 2012. This current ECF will now run up to May 2016. This means that Malawi can access the funding from the current ECF and the newly approved ECF worth $18.1 million. The extended credit facility is IMF's main tool for medium-term financial support to low-income countries like Malawi. The financing under the ECF is currently at a zero interest rate, and IMF gives a grace period of 5.5 years in the final maturity of 10 years so that the country can start repaying the money.
Meanwhile, a local economic analyst, Daliso Balasa, has held the gesture by the International Monetary Fund, saying it is a move in the direction towards rejuvenation of donor confidence. Tanu Mawawa caught up with Kubalasa.
I think this is a very good development. You know, at this stage, with the economic challenges that we are going through, coming out of the gasket and hoping for a quick recovery and then being hit with the floods and everything else, everything that comes from anywhere in support of our policy implementation, I think will be a bonus. So this, from the outset, I think that's a very good development. Secondly, the role that the IMF has is a very, very important role in the public finance management setting, agenda setting, looking at the issue of international benchmarks for macroeconomic stability or frameworks. So the IMF plays a very important role. So I think this will already give us, I think, put us in a positive light in as far as signaling to the other development partners about what really is happening in Malawi. I think that's another important aspect of all of this. So cutting the long story short, I think this is a very good development. But I think it is also important to note that the IMF is making an acknowledgement of a number of issues. I think they're focusing on the challenges that the country is going through. They are making an acknowledgement of that. I believe this is something that is commendable because they are showing that they're doing that in a true spirit of partnership. So we are not pushing most of these challenges under the carpet, but I think the IMF is saying, look here, we understand the cash gate destabilized a number of things. We understand there have been some efforts. Maybe we should waive a number of these as we deal with the issues.
If you are to gauge the behavior of donors, currently they are not giving us direct budget support. They have expressed some reservations over weaknesses remaining in public finance management. In view of the green light given by IMF, do you see them coming back in the next financial year?
It will be very important that we look at this gesture in that positive light of the true spirit of partnership that we've been calling for, both from the development partners as well as from the government, as well as from all of us, because the challenges that we are facing are huge, and I think they will need a concerted effort.
A High Court reporter in Lilongwe says she has been robbed of recorders and other court documents containing various cases. The court reporter, Baida Jere, in her 50s, has told this Zodiak online reporter that the thieves have made away with 2 recorders that contain court information on cashgate cases and also the ongoing Pompuyo attempted murder case. The robbery is said to have occurred Tuesday midday at the Crossroads complex, where her vehicle was forced open. She has since reported the matter to Lilongwe Police Station, where authorities have told Zodiak Online they will need some time before making public comment on the matter. The police say they have officially recorded 8 cases of attacks, murder and abduction of people with albinism in the country since January this year. The figure is a slight increase on the one of 6 recorded by the United Nations Human Rights Commission about 3 weeks ago. According to Commissioner of Police responsible for research, planning and reforms, Agnes Gondwe, the police are still compiling a report to establish the extent of the attacks. Speaking at an awareness event focusing on children at Source Primary School, Commissioner Gondwe urged the public to assist police in combating the attacks, saying police alone cannot manage. Commissioner Gondwe explains.
There should be a strong guardianship towards the people and the children living with albinism, because they have a right also. Their rights need not to be violated. So it's very important indeed. And I'm saying that we need to revamp community policing structures so that they should be working in their places so that the people are aware about this issue. They should sensitize the people. So it's like the police should be working together with the community on these issues. And we're also saying that the chiefs, traditional leaders, the stakeholders, faith-based community, they need also to come in to link with the police as well as the community on these issues, to at least to give awareness to those perpetrators that this is not a good thing to do.
And according to Darwin Ankada, a Standard 7 student at Source Primary School, school children have the role to protect their colleagues with albinism by ending discrimination.
Right of education, right of protection, and right to have your own name and your family. They need to be protected by their parents and their school teachers, and also our learners to protect themselves. We don't need to choose one another, and we need to love one another so that we can educate together.
Now, at the height of such attacks, Disability and Social Welfare Minister Patricia Kaliati says she remains in the dark as to where perpetrators are taking the abducted victims or body parts. She, however, said government is working on measures to ensure that internal security is strengthened, especially in communities worst affected. More in this report.
The Minister of Gender, Children, Disability and Social Welfare says government is yet to establish the motive behind the albino attacks. But Mrs. Patricia Kaliati says government is working on measures to deal with the vice.
A number of programs which we've put in place. We have a number of committees who will be mobilizing the chiefs, the communities, the mothers themselves and the children themselves to tell them that we are committed, and we will be working hand in hand with the police. But also we'll be following up, since we'll be having 2 lawyers in our ministry, those who will be helping us in appealing cases which the judgment is not all that to how the act we have is about. Because sometimes you find that instead of the perpetrators being punished heavily, they're just giving a fine of 20,000. In that way, we are not going to end the violences against our children or people with albinism.
Reacting to the minister's sentiments, chairperson of the Association of People Living with Albinism, Boniface Massa, said although his organization is satisfied with government's commitment to deal with the vice, more has to be done to uproot the diabolic practice.
These are interventions that government is trying to do, and we are part of and parcel of that process. But what we have been appealing to government is we need the agency in dealing with this thing, because it's an issue to deal with life. And if we take longer and try to spend much of our time in meetings, that won't be very necessary to us. That's why we are trying to say we need to do a strategy that will go down to the community, work with the parents who are the victims now, and even try to go to the courts immediately and see what interventions can we do now.
Albino people who lack pigment in their skin have recently faced attacks. Rumors have it that the attackers are after albinos' body parts, which doctors allegedly believe bring good luck and wealth. Right now, people with albinism are living in abject fear, as reports indicate that groups of people are hunting them down, even in their homes. Meanwhile, the United Nations continues to appeal to authorities to deal with the vice. According to the United Nations, there is an increase in attacks against people with albinism in Malawi, as 6 incidents have been reported in the first 10 weeks of 2015, compared to 4 recorded over the 2 previous years.
A reminder that you're watching the news coming to you live from our studios in Lilongwe. We have more news after the break.
Flavor.
Dear Boom, when me and my brother were little kids, making a mess was our favorite part of helping Mom. My goodness, the mess that we used to make. We were just so engrossed in the whole experience of the magic of baking our favorite chocolate cake. I realized why she never shouted at us. She never minded the mess, because there was something much bigger going on here. She spent time with us. Now that I'm older, I use every opportunity that I can to spend time with my kids.
Cherish those fun chores and let Boom take care of the hard ones with its powerful stain removal properties.
Every story has a hero. Every mother has a story.
Boom, every mom has a story. Tell us yours at facebook.com/boom every mom has a story.
Welcome back. Before we proceed, a look at our main stories. IMF nods to Malawi's new extended credit facility program worth over 7 billion kwacha. Police say they have officially recorded 8 cases of attacks, murder and abduction of people with albinism since January. In sports news, squash gaining momentum as corporate support increases. And a German airline plane with 142 passengers crashes in the French Alps. A health official in Nsanje has raised an alarm over a cholera outbreak in the district. District Medical Officer Dr. Anomic Analyst says the outbreak is now spreading rapidly among people in the district from the initial case of a man who contracted it in Mozambique. The number of people affected has increased to 132 from 110 last week. Alfred Guda reports.
Nsanje District Medical Officer Dr. Anomic said they never expected that things would be like this as far as the spread of cholera is concerned. Dr. Masala said they are very worried as the epidemic is spreading fast to other areas. He cited Misamvu and Nkango in the area of Chiftengani, where 7 new cases have been recorded. The Nsanje District Medical Officer was however quick to say efforts are being made to control the situation, adding that they are doing fine in managing the cases. Meanwhile, Minister of Health Epidemiologist Seti Kanyanda has disclosed that senior officials from Malawi, particularly in the districts that share borders with Mozambique, such as Nsanje, Chikwawa and Mwanza, will hold discussions with those of Mozambique on Wednesday. According to Mr. Kanyanda, the officials will, among other things, devise measures of controlling the spread of the epidemic, as Mozambique's Jambawe mine is the main source of the outbreak. Mr. Kanyanda further expressed hope that the oral cholera vaccine, which will be administered to some 160,000 people in the Lower Shire district from March 31 to April 4, 2015, will make a difference in the fight against cholera in the next 5 years. For Zodiak in Nsanje, this is Alfred Guda reporting.
Let's now move to international news. German Airbus airline A320 carrying 142 passengers has crashed in the French Alps. The plane had reportedly been en route from Barcelona to Düsseldorf. French President François Hollande said the conditions of the accident, which have not yet been qualified, lead to a conclusion there are no survivors.
Our thoughts are with the families of those who are suffering this terrible loss today. We are offering every means and ways possible to try and find out what happened in this accident and to find the wreckage and also the bodies of the victims. The accident happened in a particularly difficult zone to get to, so rescue services will not really be able to give us results for a few more hours. I want all of our different services to mobilize.
And the reopening of Tunisia's Bardo Museum following the attack that killed at least 22 people has been delayed until Sunday. The museum was due to open on Tuesday morning, but there will now only be a symbolic ceremony. The reopening less than a week after the attacks was intended to show the gunmen haven't achieved their goal. There are fears the attack claimed by Islamic State IS will hit Tunisia's vital tourism industry. Now to sports news. Squash Malawi says the sport is improving tremendously in the country following support from companies. Squash Malawi President Jimmy Kawaye said this after the General Alliance 2015 squash tournament that was held in Blantyre last weekend. More in this report with Mike Bango.
36 players took part in the General Alliance 2015 squash tournament, with the stars emerging after the tournament in Blantyre. Squash Malawi President Jimmy Kawaye said the committee was delighted with the strength of both the A and B divisions, with the return of squash tournaments of Anton Evers and the participation of excellent players such as Chris Lewis, Lars Holmgren, Sean Sanders and Michael Van Haas. According to Kawaye, Evans provided the shock of the first round, knocking out Chisomo Matunga. The matches were of high quality, but the standout player of the A division was Chembe Matewere. Matewele played excellently against the number 3 seed, and although he lost, his squash was of high quality, enough to take 5th place in the tournament. The seedings went as planned, and the final was a triumph for James Matewele, whose tactical play and superior accuracy were enough to beat number 1 seed Oble Tauro 3-1. The General Alliance 2015 squash tournament highlights included the emergence of Yuonda Banda as a female squash player able to hold her own with the best of the B division, and the confirmation of Alidi, Mbengo, Chapukira and Mangani as players for the A division in the next tournament. The B division was won by Alan Alidi. Kawaya acknowledged and thanked the sponsor General Alliance for their support over the last few years. The next squash tournament will be in May and will be sponsored by Ion. Meanwhile, Kawaya has disclosed that MOC has assisted them in securing a plot of land that can be used to build a squash center in Malawi. For ZBS in Lilongwe, this is Mike Pango.
That's how we wrap up this bulletin, but before we leave, another look at some of our major stories. IMF nods to Malawi's new extended credit facility program worth over 7 billion kwacha. Police say they have officially recorded 8 cases of attacks, murder and abduction of people with albinism since January. In sports news, squash gaining momentum as corporate support increases. And a German airline plane with 142 passengers crashes in the French Alps. This has been Veronica Mwani. Goodbye.